All right, so today I got some dropouts off of eBay. I held them up on my frame drawing. I love everything about them. They're old and cool. The eyelets are far apart. They're definitely forged. They look just smashed and hammered on more than cast, but I don't know, what do I really know? Look like they were sandblasted at some point in time, maybe a long time ago, maybe originally. A little rusty. I was, scrolling through the Instagram like I do with way too much of my free time. And I was looking at some old Toei's. They look like they had basically this exact same dropout. So this might be an old Japanese high-end dropout. Some guy in Canada has them. He's not very communicative. I've asked if I could buy them all. He told me he had 50 sets, then he'd get back to me. Made some offers, he'd get back to me. Held them up my drawing. They're good. I'm going to bug them some more. I just started this new shop. It's not busy at all yet. I sunk all my money in, so I have no money to buy them, but I want to buy them. Maybe I can figure out a way if I just pay my back taxes and rent on the shop and my house. I'm like, I have no money. Buy some stuff. So we'll do that later, hopefully. But first, we're going to play with this Comotion. I bought this at Sunday Salvage Sales for way too much money. It is Comotion, which is like a handmade brand down in Eugene. I think they're still around and making bikes. They're all TIG welded now and weird sizes and basically all cyclocross or gravel bikes now. This one I think is from the 80s or maybe the early 90s. It's like Campagnolo C Record era stuff. I think I thought someone said Mirage, but I think that was a different bike I was working on. It's got shifters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got probably 8-speed shifters unless the derailleurs lock them out or something. It does have the Campagnolo C Record style. What do you call that? Where you only see 4 of the arms, and I want to call it a bunch of bad words. They're 172 5s. Yeah, the front doesn't say Mirage or anything. This might be C Record stuff. The rear really doesn't. Well, that C Record, even maybe it does. I don't really know anything about C Record. I can share a couple of parts. So this looks a little bit open to me. I have to measure that. Realign this derailleur a little bit. It's got some chrome on it. The paint has a few chips and it's got some rust bubbling up. It's got like a solid cable run on the top tube. And those brazons are rusty. There's spider webs coming out. This bike is fully fillet brazed. It's got the one chrome stay. It's got 80 Shimano Dura Ace dropouts, which is hilarious for an old campy build. I mean, I wish the paint was in better shape because it's so blue and so cool, but this bike is pretty cool. That crown looks real narrow. It's got chrome tips, matching Shimano Dura Ace EF1s. Whatever, I'm going to strip this bike down and we're going to throw a dummy wheel checker gauge in it and see what this thing will do. It's got no dimples, so maybe I can dimple it. Throw a little more tire clearance. We'll see what the fork can do. See if someone wants this bike as is or have me modded out. One thing I know about C Record and one thing I think I know about C Record is that the Allen bolt to extract the cranks is 7 mil, not 8. I also believe that it's got the self-extracting crank dust cap thing. I also believe that is a different thread size and pitch than anything else, than Stronglight or TA or standard Unipark tool. So that could be an issue if they don't work. I found a guy in Europe. I found his website the other day. I'm really stoked about it. He remakes like dust caps and pedal dust caps. So he also remakes the Stronglight TA tool, which I bought off eBay apparently from him, or the guy supplies him a while ago, and it works great. It's TA threads on one side, Stronglight the other. I think one's like 23 mil, and the other's like 23.3 mil. Where Japanese and English bikes are all 22.2, I think, or something. I don't remember. The more common size. So this is even a different one if it's C Record. Let's get this stuff off. This bike did come with wheels. One in the rear is a HED disc, like the big carbon disc wheel with what I believe is a Shimano 10-speed cassette body on it, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's Campagnolo. I swear I had a SRAM cassette or something. And then the front was that gold Rolf Vector wheel that I'm always pulling down to use as a... I'm checking fork line and I stick it in there all the time because the wheel's dished. But I think I'll take the parts off and sell them on eBay. I don't think anyone else really cares with some wood birds. And I'll see if this frame is doable. It does have some paint rub in here, but I don't feel any tube digging in other than just the paint, I think. The other side is good. Everyone always tries to run a tire that is too big for their bike. It's the biggest trend ever. That and running fenders on knobs, which is like the new gravel trend. They're the stupidest things in the world. You will destroy your bike and your life and break your arm. Just don't run tires that are too big on your bike. I know you want to. Just get a different bike that actually handles those. Or ride a reasonable tire. What's these 48s? And now everyone wants 2-point knobbies on road bikes for their ride in town. Like, you guys are sociopaths. Come on. Come on. 48 millimeter tires are technically too big. If they're squishy, I do not like them for city riding, but I built my new bike for them, so I'm an idiot. But if you do it, build it for it. If the bike's really for 32s, the factory says that, you should probably only put 38s. Like, factories lie to you about tire size, and they lie to you about fenders, and you always end up cutting all the way through this tube with your tire if your wheel's been slightly out of true and crooked. Destroy your bike in a couple hundred miles. Alright, rant over. Let's check this thing out. Here is my 8mm cranked bolt wrench puller. Nope, not a chance. Here's my handy dandy Sunlight. I know, Sunlight stuff doesn't make anything I like at all, except for these wrenches. Nice color set, work great, never broke them. Nope. I get that 7. A couple of days ago I stripped a different bike with all CRecord era Mirage stuff, and I couldn't find a 7 anywhere. I probably haven't used a 7 in 8 or 9 years. So I ran to the hardware store, and luckily they didn't have a 7, but they had a big giant kit. One kit out of the 50 that had a 7 in it, for like $15, so I bought it. Giant kit of all the metric and all the standard, and magically they don't know what they're doing, so they have a 7. Because every other kit knows what they're doing, knows no one ever uses a 7, so they just don't include one, because no one cares. 7. Well, let's check it out. Oh, look at that. It fits great. These are little shorties. You stick it in. And I'm going to go straight to the old cheater bar, because I love them. This is an old True Temper chromoly mountain bike handlebar from probably the 80s or 90s. It is thin wall, but it is chromo, it's tough, it is light, fits on stuff. I just thought of a step that I am skipping. We'll do that first. This thing has a crazy seat post. We gotta do something about it. It's like a time trial, super far forward seat post. I'm gonna put it up so I can grab it in this clamp, or I'm gonna take it out and put in a dummy 27.2 seat post. That's greasy and gross. It's gross. And this is a really nice saddle. I have really good luck. Almost every single time trial saddle I find is nice and expensive. I can put it on eBay and make crazy dough on it. So this will go on eBay. I don't think the seat post is worth much, but it'll go on eBay. Cool. It's got a bunch of random letters on here. P-D-R-E. Oh man, I don't know. Oh, 27.0. That's way nutty. It says 1999 on it. It's cool, I guess. Maybe this bike is. I'm gonna say it's probably earlier than that. Maybe this is an upgrade. A long ass time ago. Here's a super cheapo steel. I think it's steel. 27.2 seat post with no head. I love it. I keep it around. I never want to put it in a bike because. Why would you? I wonder if this really is 27.0. I don't believe it. Here's my handy dandy reverse pliers. You get them from finer hardware stores. Sell a lot of tools. Oh, and it is just too narrow. That is a shame. This is a brake spoon for adjusting old drum brakes on vintage cars. You can buy a really expensive Nitto stem tools and all sorts of stuff, and have $800 in tools that do the same job as this one, like $6 wrench. You know, if you want. I'm just gonna gently, it's like a wedge shape, just gently wedge it in there and buy myself a little room. Just open that seat lug up, which is probably pinched. A lot of over-tightening seat posts that are wrong size in their bike. Yeah, definitely 27.2. Oh, come on, you wing nuts. I was pulling 27.0 and 26.8 seat posts out of nice old bikes that are definitely 27.2. almost anything modern that's high quality or even medium quality, generic hybrids, aluminum bikes, they're all going to be 27.2. Unless it's like really oversized stuff. Anything high end and vintage is going to be 27.2, you know, from the 80s, 90s, 2000s. You get back into the 60s, and some of the 70s stuff, then you see folks real wacky sizes. Back when they were scared. They were making bikes out of too thick of tubes out of fear. Then they started making bikes out of too thick of tubes out of cheapness. The cheapy bikes love thick tubes, so take smaller seat posts. High-endy stuff, man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's Tange Prestige Professional Design Chrome. Yeah, this is their highest end tubing. Their wing nut, if you think it takes any other 27.2. Let's get this dude stripped. I'm gonna stick this 7mm in. On the other camping cranks, the self-extracting dust cap started to like sort of mangle and deform and destroy on one of them, so a little worried. Come out without mangling yourself. Expensive vintage wing nutty stuff. I used to love Campagnolo stuff. 50s, 60s, 70s stuff. Even the really early 80s stuff would still look like Novo and CRecord, but once they switched to CRecord, that's when all the rich guys are like, oh, it's the prettiest, it's the best stuff they ever made. I think it's ugly, and it gets a little weird, and it's changed a lot, and I sort of lost track of the plot. The earlier stuff's pretty simple. There's a CPSC, which is some safety rule. So there's some pre-CPSC and some post-CPSC stuff. Really subtle minor differences and that stuff. It's easy to look and tell. So it's easy to really learn a lot about Novo and CRecord stuff, but I never tried with this CRecord stuff. Teeth have a little bit of wear, this inner one. A little bit of wear on the outer one, not much shift wear. Square 71, I don't know what the date codes means. Back when they were like in diamonds and stuff, that was like 80s stuff. It made sense. This is definitely not from 1971, so it doesn't make any sense. Has the Campy Shield logo. I think this is the logo engraved in or laser printed. This is a laser printed one, but it's pretty sun faded. It's got some heel rub. Don't rub your heels on stuff. Oh, I freshly yelled at Avery the other day. He came over and some cranks I put on his bike that were mint had some heel rub on them. I'm like, don't heel rub your bike. I think he uses clip-in shoes. You gotta adjust those cleats, man. Do whatever you can to not heel rub your cranks and destroy them. It's laziness, and it's costing you watts and energy and stuff. Why else would we be using clip-in shoes if it wasn't for generating all those watts of power? I get to use my 7mm twice in like a week. Some old French stems take 7mm. Come across high-end French stems take a 7mm. Like I said, like every 5-10 years or so. I used to have one. I used to have it on my tool board. I really did use it twice in a decade. Same with this one, little heel rub. A laser etch logo. 9/16 by 20, so normal, 1725. This is a Eugene, Oregon made handmade bike, so I'm guessing it's English bottom thread bracket. I'm guessing. I really want an Italian modern one. I want to stick one of these in a fixie I'm making. What does this dude say? 1.370 by 24. I'm pretty sure that is English. Oh good, it takes a weird campy specific bottom bracket tool that I probably don't have. But I think might be the same as their freewheel tool, which I also might not have. We'll have to dig and see. So that's fun. I don't care about used chains at all. I barely care about used cassettes. Unless something's like clearly brand new and has no miles, it's really just recycling. For me, sometimes on really old high-end chains and really high-end freewheels off vintage 70s race bikes, the chain's pretty immaculate. I'll save it, match it to the freewheel, but cassette stuff I don't care. Just buy a new chain. They're not expensive. Cutting a cord. Cutting. Cutting. Right. To this front derailleur. I'm gonna finish stripping this down and I'll check back in a minute. I went digging when I bought my When I bought my big Cobra toolkit, all my cutters and facers, the guy threw in some other stuff. One of those things was a couple of cases of random vintage freewheel and body bracket tools from an old shop. Just dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of new old stock, vintage used, cool brands, Sun Tour, Bicycle Research. And I went digging, and I found two things that might work. One is this awkward Shimano Hyperglide tool. It sure seems like it'll work. It's for a big half-inch drive, so it kind of goes over the BB spindle. I almost tried it, and I kept digging, and the very last thing I found was this Park Tools BBT5, which I should probably look up and see if it's the right tool. It's big enough to fit over the spindle, the teeth seem just right, it goes right in, falls in, and seems legit. Seems legit. I know that some campy stuff and some park stuff both seems like it'll work, but the campy stuff's shallower, so it'll just spin out and damage the park stuff. But this is campy, it's little, I think it's the one. Let's check it out. I think we're gonna go right to big boy. If this slips at all, what I like to do is add another spacer or a washer or another tool upside down and put a crank bolt in to sort of tighten the tool into the bottom bracket so it cannot slip. But let's see if it'll slip first. So we're gonna go righty-loosey, because this is the drive side and it's English threaded. So let's see. Oh yeah, that moved, all right. Didn't slip. Let's try the other side. The other side will be lefty-loosey, so the same direction. Sometimes I have really luck if it's really tight on the drive side, I come get the non-drive side loose first, and the drive side will loosen right up. That spun. It's so loose I can kind of turn it by hand. Let's try. Here's a Park cassette driver tool. Wonder if this will fit. And it does. And it's a lot lighter and easier to use than that big old 15 mil. Even though it has a chain flailing about on it. All right, I got 4 or 5 threads out now. It's halfway out. There's no more tension. Let's keep going righty-loosey on the drive side. I like to do things in stages. Keeps things more likely to be straight, not get all jammed up. Oh yeah, now I got the other side loose. This side is super loose and easy to spin. It's magic like that. Just a little secret tip for doing bottom brackets. I feel like that works with cartridge and cup and cone. Although cup and cone non-drive sides are usually loosey-goosey, so it's no big deal. I had a fill wood tool in there that almost looked like it would work. That would have been cool. I'm just happy I have something that works. What a weird bottom bracket. Deep cup. I don't know if this is how it's supposed to work, but everything on this bike's covered in anti-seize, which is nice. I've never seen this bottom bracket before. Very interesting. Campagnolo, Copia, Sergio, tightening, torque specs. Used tool 71, no, used tool, yeah, 71 30036 only. That's not what I used. Right, left, XS, DX. Very bizarre. Why is the drive side cup takes all the tension when it comes loose? Why is that the free cup? Maybe the other one comes off too. I don't know. Weird wing-nutty Italian-y stuff. Super cool. Thank you, little worn-out Park tool that worked just perfectly fine. BBT5. Thank you, whoever assembled this bike, for using anti-seize. That was just wonderful. The chrome on this stay has a little bit of red and pitting, but man, this thing would polish right up. You'd never be able to tell. Gorgeous. Let's check it out. Rear end spacing. I built my old shop. Tools on the board on my stand with the bike, so I could stand in front of the bike and see all the tools. You could see the bike. I built this shop like a shop, not like for YouTube. So it's a little more awkward. The tool bench is like over here. Oh, cool. You can see everything's all shaking. This is spaced about 130, yeah, we're exactly on 130, so that is cool. Here is a Frame Builder 132 dummy axle. Anvil like to make all their stuff slightly bigger. They thought it would help keep the frames sucking in and brazed on it. No idea if that's true at all. Tire checker gauge. I've showed this off a zillion times in my videos from rossmann.com. Totally worth having. I left my protective sticker coating on it, but it's like a clear plasticky thing. It fits a dummy axle. It's got 700C, 650B, and 26. It's got dummy tire sizes. I'm going to go 650B, 42. See what this looks like. It has clearance up here on the bridge, even though it's a fastback stay. It's got a good amount of clearance to the brake. It's probably going to be way too tight down in here. Way too tight. It's like hitting the top of the stay. It's not even going in. This thing would need massive dimples for clearance. I mean, like I have to dimple these tubes almost in half to clear 650B, 42. That's not a good sign. The chances of dimpling these stays that much are about 0. Probably get halfway there, you definitely crack the brazing on the bridge. So you have to sand all this out, grind all the chrome off, rebraze that bridge or add a new bridge. Still might not be able to get it dimpled enough. 650B 38, on the other hand, fits with like a millimeter on each side, which means it doesn't fit. You really need a 1/4 inch on each side, 6 millimeters. People do not believe me. People think you can get away with 1 or 2, and that's why your frames get cut through with the tire and destroyed. So this would need like 4 or 5 millimeters added to each side. That is doable with the dimpling tool. It's doable. I'm gonna flip this bike around so we can see the fork better. Fork better. Oh, Comotion Cycles. Oh, this head lug extension thing like drilled into and carved like a little surf wave with a logo thing. This is cool. This bike is cool. This bike's a 58. It's also my size. I wish I needed another cool vintage frame to make into a city bike. I really do. I really do. That's why I bought it. It's my size and it's handmade and it's filmed brazed and it's cool. Probably get some new Comotion decals, I'm sure. Do a few minor frame mods and repairs, get this thing repainted. Oh, it's so cool. But I already have my Terry 650V conversion, which is super cool. It doesn't fit, it's a little too small. Same thing, put my 100mm dummy axle in here, put the tool on. Ooh. This fork crown is too narrow, but right in the middle. And it's got like 2 millimeters on each side, hitting those tangs. It is too narrow. You could get away with this on a no fender bike. You could get it, which just doesn't have eyelets. You could get away with this if your wheel is perfectly round and true. You could get away with this if your wheel is never going to come untrue. You're never going to break spoke. Is it a good idea or safe? Not really. So it would be giant dimples in the back, and it would really, honestly need a different fork. Every vintage 1-inch threaded fork in the world has a narrow crown, so we'd probably need a new handmade fork with a wider crown. So we're talking $350 for a fork. We're talking $300 to dimple it and realign the stays, because the dimpling will suck the stays in. It's like $150 for dimple, $150 for a realign. We're talking a new paint job or powder coat, and we're going to be into this thing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 and $1,400. A lot of frame builders will build you a traditional road style frames with a lot of leftover narrow stuff and dropouts no one cares about. A lot of frame builders will build you a traditional narrow frame for like $2,000. Some of the old guys were still offering them for like $1,200-1,400 for like a bad single color paint job and nothing, no frills. But I think all those guys have retired now. But yeah, road frame is the easiest to build. They're a lot cheaper just because you don't have to spend a whole extra day doing braze-ons and extra day dimpling tubes and making sure things fit just right. Sort of just slap them together and they're golden. So, I'm heavy, I flex things. It's just too tight. I mean, you can technically do it, but it's too tight. You get some tire buzz in there, but it's got the thick fork reinforcement. They've got a bunch of tire buzz and roll that paint off, it would not matter at all. So it's up to whoever wants to buy it. 700C by 34. Oh no, my tool's breaking. Well, they holding it together is the cardboard. Guess I've been a little too rough on it too many times. I've been wanting to buy the new version. It looks a lot smarter anyways. Also, I could probably just super glue that on or just hold the thing in there. It doesn't matter. This thing would fit a 700 by 34 so sexy. It'll like got like 2 millimeters of clearance to the crown, so like a track bike. Let's look at the back. Same track bike, and it is too fat down here. With dimples, you can do a 734. I mean, it passes through, but it's touching on both sides. A 34 is kind of a lie. 32 is really a, oh man. 32 is really the size, so you can do 732s very tight on this. You can do 28s safely, tightly and safely. That's good to know. Let's do some other measurements. So I'm going to measure the center of the bottom bracket shell to the top of the top tube, right here. People do winglet measurements. Frame builders do center of the BB shell to the center of the lug, where the center of the top tube meets. So frame builders measure bikes. The Japanese mostly measure bikes to the top here. People who don't know anything about bikes will measure the very tippy top of the lug, but it's crazy measurement. We're going to do the Japanese way because that's just the most common way to get a real number. I'm getting 56.5. All right. And then the very center of the seat lug, the very center of the head tube. I'm getting 57.7 or so. That sounds like a handmade bike. Check the 650B38 tool again. They do make 650B36 tires. They're not very popular here, they're popular in Japan. And by a few more millimeters. We could do 38s with a dimple. We could do 38s with a dimple. People want to know what the stays are. Sometimes I measure from the axle center to the center of the BBB. So I got 42 centimeters chain stays. People want to know what the front center is, just a made up number on modern bikes. They don't fit very well, but it's basically toe overlap. Straightening the fork from the center to the center of the axle. 59 centimeters. Anyways, I think that's what front center means. So that's Campagnolo, Brev, and Campagnolo Pickle. Doesn't say record anywhere, doesn't say anything anywhere, so who knows. But it feels pretty good. But that's my video on this little Comotion. I'm going to put it up for sale on my Instagram. Maybe on the local Craigslist too. We'll see if anyone cares. Thanks for watching.